So this is the sheet that I was referring to, and it's basically giving you all the information that you need when it comes to reconstituting the most popular peptides, the effective dose. I'm just going to go through. So before I get started, I want to make sure it's understood that every single thing that I cover in this video is for research purposes and research purposes only. I am not suggesting that you do anything that I mentioned. I'm not suggesting that any of these compounds are intended for human use. So that being said, let's get into it. So one of the biggest hurdles associated with peptides is the dosing, concentration of each individual peptide. How much backwater do you need in order to get the clinical dose that you need? That's one of the biggest hurdles for most people to understand. And I hear it every day. How much backwater should I put in this peptide in order to get the dose that I need in order for this peptide to be effective? There's a few things you need to keep in mind when you are reconstituting a peptide. One thing in particular is the concentration. For some peptides, the higher the concentration, the more the bite when you are injecting. Some peptides are more acidic than other peptides. So if it's more acidic, the higher the concentration, the more likely it's going to burn when you do inject the peptide. Some peptides are forgiving, and what I mean by forgiving is that the concentration can be high, and you wouldn't have an issue injecting it. The most acidic, Tesamorelin by far. If you have 5 milligrams of Tesamorelin, if you don't reconstitute that with at least 2.5 mLs of backwater, it's going to bite when you inject. Below Tesamorelin, CJC, and Ipamorelin. They aren't that acidic, but if you do have 5 milligrams of CJC or 5 milligrams of Ipamorelin, your best bet is to reconstitute that with a minimum 2 mLs of backwater. So, and if you are new to this and you don't know exactly how much backwater you should use for your peptide, my suggestion is at minimum use 2 mLs of backwater for 5 milligrams of any peptide, and you should be okay. Start there. So if you start there and you have issues with injecting as far as a pinch or a bite during injection, you can adjust that accordingly. I put together a master sheet of some of the most popular peptides. On this master sheet, it contains the clinical dose for each of these peptides. How much of that peptide do you need in order for you to get the results that you want? How often you should inject, the amount of backwater you need in order to prevent site irritation. So the backwater you put in that peptide is going to determine the concentration of that reconstituted peptide. So the lower amount of backwater you put in that peptide, the higher the concentration, the more likely it's gonna bite when you do pin yourself. So I'm gonna share that screen of the spreadsheet of all of the popular peptides, the effective clinical dose the amount of back water you need and the volume that you need to pour from the reconstituted peptide and get the effective dose that's mentioned. Give me a second. So this is the sheet that I was referring to, and it's basically giving you all the information that you need when it comes to reconstituting the most popular peptides, the effective dose. I'm just going to go through Tesamorelin just to give you an idea of how this sheet works. 5 milligrams of Tesamorelin, the effective dose of Tesamorelin is 1 milligram per day. And for some people, I know some people run 2 milligrams, 3 milligrams of Tesamorelin. I've seen people get amazing results on 1 milligram. 1 milligram, that's it. Amazing results. 1 milligram per day. The frequency is 1 time per day. And the amount of back water that you want in 5 milligrams of Tesamorelin is a minimum of 2.5 mLs of back water. That concentration is pretty good. Tesamorelin, like I mentioned earlier, is probably one of the most acidic peptides there is. So even at 2.5 mLs, you still will get a reaction from Tesamorelin. So 2.5 mLs and 5 milligrams of Tesamorelin. If you draw the volume, if you draw 0.5 mLs of this reconstituted peptide, that will be 1 milligram of Tesamorelin. So 2.5 mLs of back water into 5 milligrams of Tesamorelin. If you draw 0.5 mLs, same thing as 50 units of this reconstituted Tesamorelin, that would be equivalent to 1 effective dose of Tesamorelin, 1 milligram of Tesamorelin. It's fairly simple, and you can go through each of these peptides and do the exact same. It shows you how much back water you need, how much volume of that reconstituted peptide that you need in order to get the effective dose mentioned right beside the peptide's name. So this master peptide protocol planning sheet is on a website that's linked in my bio. If you are interested in following it and getting this information, it's there for anyone to see. So, and this, the concentration of each of these peptides is to the point to where if you can't avoid getting a sting or a bite from injecting, you will not get it based on this concentration. So that's all I got. I hope that you guys were able to follow exactly what I was saying. If not, the protocol sheet that I did share, like I mentioned, it's on a website, and the link to that website is in my bio. It doesn't require you to download anything. It's there for anyone to see, anyone to use. My goal with this channel is just to add value. That's it. I don't believe in extracting value without adding it first. So hopefully what I just shared helped you somewhat get over that hurdle if you are a first-time user of peptides. That's all I got. Hope to see you guys soon. Peace.